Hello, Capricorn. This is your reading for October 2025. My name's Kathleen. I'm one of the spirit operators. The deck of cards I'm using this month is the Queen of the Moon Oracle. If you're new here, I do things a little bit different. I get psychic impressions from the images, and I also interact with spirit. So this could be different for you. Okay, so let's take a look at your first card. And so we have realization. Okay, so this feels like your energy, but it feels like there's hesitation here. An opportunity, something has presented itself to you. Um, it might happen in October. It kind of feels like it's already happened. So perhaps for most of you, it's already happened. Something has presented itself, a situation, a possibility, an opportunity, but it feels like there's hesitation on your part. You're not really sure about this. And so if that's your feeling, you'll want to research and see what you can find about whatever this is for you. Like if you're feeling hesitant, that's not a bad thing. Of course, you don't want to miss any deadline or any possibility of missing out on the opportunity. But it really feels like, yeah, you do need to look into this. You do need to research and make sure that you're on the same page, because it kind of feels like whoever or however this was presented to you wasn't fully accurate. It's not the complete story. It's sort of like they were telling you what you want to hear instead of here's everything we're going to present to you, and then it's up to you to decide. So, yeah, absolutely look into this and make sure it's viable. Okay, so the next card we have for you is Abundance. Again, this feels like your energy. It feels like you're sitting in a good place. That you're fairly content with where you are in your life. Like you're happy with your home, happy with your financial situation, with your family. Like I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's pretty good. And so things are feeling. Oh, like there's also a feeling here of isolation and wanting to stay home, wanting to be home, feeling it's safer to be home than out in the world right now, which depending on where you live, yeah, that's probably true. um, so you might want to look into finding ways of broadening your potential or outcome while you're staying at home. It's not necessarily that it's something to earn money with, although you could, but finding something that if you're going to be spending more time at home, you'll be happy to do so. Um, like taking up a hobby, perhaps painting or writing, or and maybe some exercises or something that you can do at home. Try to make being at home more fun, more likable. So you're not just sitting binge watching stuff or kind of wasting time in that way. Try to make it a little more adventurous being at home so it's not so dreary and dull, especially if you're uh, moving into the autumn and winter months up here in the northern hemisphere, then there might be a feeling of being stuck inside, and so try to somehow liven that up and use this time to get the supplies or figure out what it is you want to do. Even if it's just like redecorating a room or something, just something to enhance your home experience. Okay, Spirit said to move on. So the next card we have here for you is Darkness. So, yeah, again, there's this with the little rabbit here at the bottom. There's this feeling of isolation again. So perhaps you've been separating yourself. You're working from home now much more than you had previously, or there's just something going on that you're spending more time. I mean, it's not necessary that you are alone by yourself. I mean, you could be with family, but you're just not, your social network, it seems to be shrunk or shrinking. You're not spending as much time meeting new people or seeing your friends out and about, right? So it's kind of a good idea, and this kind of goes with the previous card, that if you're finding this is going on and you're kind of thinking, I need to change this, then it might be a good idea to like have dinner parties or parties at your home, or invite people over for tea and cakes or something, or you know tarot readings or something, right? Just yeah, to get people to come around to see you, and hopefully you can start maybe a bit of a change. I know because I'm old. When I was growing up, um, like my parents would have a party at their house, and then they would go to other people's houses for parties, and people sort of interacted that way. And I'm not so sure that that happens. And it doesn't have to be like a big drunken celebration type of thing. Like it could be a dinner party, right? Maybe you could start this social networking kind of going on. If you're the first one to have the tea and cakes on a Sunday afternoon or something, and then maybe some of your other friends might host something different, right? It just to sort of get more personal, because if we get stuck on our screens too much, we can lose that personal interaction, and that's not really super healthy for us. So look into doing that type of thing. Okay, Spirit's like next card already. Okay, so we have Resistance. So there's a feeling here, if you can see, I'll bring the card up closer. So look at the hand, and the hand is squeezing and holding tight onto the flora, and the fauna is escaping. So they've got a tight grip on all the trees and the plants, but the animals are all taken off. So there's a feeling here that if you're holding on to something too tightly, and you may know what this is, that you're going to lose. Now, it it doesn't feel like you're going to lose everything, but you will lose bits and pieces, right? Because like there's just small animals getting out, but the hand is gripping the majority of the place. So yeah, there is there's kind of like a tendency, maybe you have too much, and the word has escaped me, sorry, attachment. Maybe you have too much attachment for something or someone, and if you're holding on too tightly, if you're trying to gain control too much, things are going to slip away. Now, it does seem to be like small little bits, however, they are rather significant bits. They're important, right? Um, and so if you want to maintain the whole, you got to loosen the grip so that the birds aren't afraid and flying away. They're like, oh, okay, this is a nice place to be. So it has that kind of feeling and idea to it. Um, yeah, especially if this is a personal relationship and you have a lot of attachment for this person, and that can be anyone in your life. But if you're noticing that their behavior is really affecting you, then there's attachment issues there. And so there's a need to look at that, because if you're getting too controlling or too jealous, too upset by their behaviors, it's going to kind of push them away. And that's not really the effect that you want, it would seem. And so you need to kind of let them do their own thing, up to a certain extent. I mean, if they're cheating on you, then best thing to do is just drop them because if you let them away with it, they're going to assume you're fine with them behaving that way, and no. So yeah, but rather than trying to get them, if they're doing something that's making you unhappy and you've asked them to stop, to refrain from doing that, and they're not listening to you, think about that, because you're not going to be able to force them. You're not going to be able to control them into doing what you want. That will just make it worse. Their behavior will get worse rather than improve. And so it might actually be time to just let go and hasta la vista, see you later, have a nice life kind of idea, if that's how it's coming through for you. Okay, Spirit just said that's enough. Okay, so that's the end of the reading. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much for watching.